What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Vic Mensa's second studio album, Victor. Vic, people know him, Chicago rapper, been around a minute. I was surprised to see this is actually only his second album. Technically, he's got a few mixtapes, bunch of EPs. He's been very prolific, even if technically this is his first full-length album since the autobiography back in 2017. Still signed the Rock Nation, and I've been a fan of Vic. I think since most people became aware of him, way back when he was part of Kids These Days with Donnie Trumpet, Nico Segal. Um, and since then, obviously, it's been a challenging thing to be a fan of Vic Mensa. Of course, he's gotten some social media beefs, but even just kind of ignoring any of that, stuff doesn't really matter. Musically, he's just been such a up and down artist. He's done, I think, made really compelling music. At the very least, one-off singles off projects are like really interesting and fun to revisit. And he's just mixed that, interspersed that, which is really difficult to take projects. I'm thinking of stuff like 93 Punks, the recent project, Vino Valentino. Don't care for that. But, before that, 2020, 2021, V-Tape and I-Tape, I thought were really inspired. Hooligans, not nearly as good. But the manuscript, there's a lot going on. Autobiography, pretty solid. He's so up and down. And, I think with Victor, I don't think there was probably a lot of hype for this. I think Vic is, despite still being on the rock, he's not, like super mainstream these days. Kind of, I guess he's kind of going in the same direction as Chance the Rapper. We'll talk more about that later. But, you know, this album, it definitely feels like a full length album with it's like a full body of work type thing. And I think it's pretty solid. I think there's just a little something missing sometimes from Vic. I don't know. Like, I really love when he does the house thing, like Down on My Luck, his big breakout single from way back. Love that. And you get something like that on this with the bonus track East Side Girl featuring Ty Dolla Sign. Kind of like a hip house summary song. Vic singing on it, kind of crooning alongside Ty Dolla Sign. Pretty awesome. I also love a song like, when he like really like goes in like rapping, it just kind of makes something hard. And you get that on Victor with All I Know. That's fun too. I think what kind of like holds me back sometimes with Vic is some of like the like more personal rapping songs. I have a hard time connecting with him. I don't know why, because he's actually telling him talking about stuff, right? Like in this instance, he talked about you know some legal issues he's had, and despite the fact that he was kind of being out in center with protests and things of that nature while having his own personal legal issues pending and things like that. Probably the best example of this of all would be the song Blue Eyes, which is one of the lead singles where Vic talks about his relationship with his own blackness and with society and, feeling self-worth and confidence and things of that nature. These are good messages. These are like well thought out songs, but I don't know, like I have a hard time connecting with the songs themselves, you know? Um, and that's kind of held me back recently. A song like South Side Story featuring Common, Vic's Chicago OG, of course, but Common's doing the meme thing on this, telling the stories, doing the poet thing, and like I don't know, I just can't connect with Vic on it. Um, the Weeping Poets featuring Jay Electronica, pretty good. I think Vic holds his own alongside Jay. Jay Electronica, I think he's getting more and more obtuse as the features come out. Like it's really hard to grasp what he's actually saying sometimes. I feel like he kind of is falling into like Eminem syndrome where he just tries to give you a bunch of syllables, or in his case, give you a bunch of different languages in the verse and a bunch of different religious references, whatever it might be from him. I don't know if it's all like coming together anymore. Not to mention some of the controversial things about him these days. Not too sure. Um, yeah. Let's see. I mean, track two, Victor, like kind of like the melody at the end. Um, let's see. Uh, Swish featuring G-Eazy and Chance the Rapper. Interesting song. This was a single. Um, more confirmation, of course, that Chance and Vic have long since buried the hatchet after some beef they had after coming up together. They've probably been most active and prolific as, kind of doing activist work and championing causes and things like that. Both of the Chance certainly hasn't been very musically active. I'll get to that a little bit more. But like that's actually kind of a fun song. I think the verses are pretty nice on that. Like G-Eazy, who another person who has not been very active these days. The G-Eazy peak was long ago. It feels like, right? A fun little line from him, though. I have to say, "Ain't so much dinero, it's Channel Vic and Gerald." Like that did make me uh, chuckle a little bit. You know, let's see. I mean, Sunset on the low end. I think that's probably the best example of Vic like using auto tune and singing. I think some of the songs where Vic just like straight up sings and croons. It's just not his strength. Like I guess he's gotten better at it marginally. I just don't really care for those songs though. Like when he like mixes in auto tune, mixes in singing, and then maybe actually gives you a rap verse still like on Blessing, sung chorus with a rap verse. That's probably the sweet spot I would say for this kind of song. Let's see. Oh god, at the end here, 14 days, Mr. Hudson, back from the dead. That was not my bingo card. Let's leave it at that. Um, yeah. So like, this long story short, not my favorite Vic album, but it's not like offensively bad or half baked like something like 93 Punks. So it's like, whatever. I think just in general though, like I talked about this when Mick Jenkins released, about a month ago, and the Chicago jazz rap scene kind of blew up obviously at the turn of the 2010s with Chance the Rapper as the face of that scene. It's been really wild watching what's happened to that scene, right? Obviously now Chicago runs through, kind of full circle, I guess, Little Dirk and Chicago Drill, things like that, G Herbo. The jazz guys, like obviously Chance, last album 2019, fallen off in mainstream sense, in a critical sense. I'm waiting for the next album. I hope it's good. I hope it's a comeback, but we haven't gotten it yet, right? Vic, Mick Jenkins, Alex Wiley. I guess Saba is still people interested in critically, and No Name, I guess, given the recent album, given her outsized profile, probably one of the faces of this scene now too. It just feels like it was so much more important, 5 years ago than it is today. It's just not making as much noise anymore. I mean, when it was happening, and it was so exciting, right? All these artists, and you still that a little bit. Artists like Smino, right, from the general region. Like it really felt like one of the signature scenes in hip hop, and it's just not right now. Maybe you could get there again. I don't know. We got a No Name album, we got a Mick album, we just got a Vic Mensa album. Like, it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of juice right there with this kind of music out of Chicago. It's interesting. If anything, like all the stuff coming out of like Detroit and like Flint, in terms of the Midwest music, that's probably more popping right now. Just a kind of interesting development. I really didn't see this coming, and I wonder if this would still be the case if the Chance momentum didn't really just ride right off the rails the way it did. So I think a lot is riding on what's next with Chance, because Vic is attached to Chance, whether he likes it or not. Really, like his Rock Nation affiliation is on the label, putting out stuff on the label. The Rock doesn't seem too invested in Vic. Vic doesn't seem too invested in the Rock. It is what it is. Seems like whatever. So I don't know. I'd love to know, like, how do you feel about Chicago rap these days? What do you think about? What do you think has passed, etc.? Like, how you feeling? And about Vic too. Like, how do you feel about Victor? Like, for me, again, like it's an album that's like pretty solid. Like, there's like some good moments on it, but I just don't know if there's a lot of like revisitable songs on it for me. But solid messaging from Vic, so I guess that counts for something. But let me know how'd you feel about Vic Mensa's Victor. Let me know. And for more rap reviews, more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.